Hey everybody, today we're going to do a demo of a callback function in Golang. Again, just to give you context, when you get a coding interview for DevOps, you're more likely to get a programming coding interview. That's because it's easier to set up from the interviewer side. Uh, are you going to get a coding question exactly like this? No. But what we're going to do over time is we're going to actually do some DevOps things in Golang. But I'm just building up all the skill sets that we need before we get to that, right? So one of them is knowing how to do a callback function. Now, callback function is really a fancy name for a function that takes in another function as an argument, which is kind of silly. Like, why would anyone do that? That will come much later, but I'll just do a demo of that so you know how to do it. It's actually, once you understand, it's not a not a big deal. But the syntaxing gets a little messy, but that's exactly what I'm going to explain today with the demo. That way, it's easier for you to remember in how you go. If you know how to think about it, then it's easier to remember the syntax and whatnot. Okay, before I start, if this is useful to you, please subscribe to my channel. That motivates me more. That tells me that it's actually helping somebody. And then I do more videos when I get motivated like that. Anyway, let's start. So we're going to first set up what we were trying to do, right? So first of all, what the callback function is, not again nothing but a function that takes in another function. So let's write that other function first, right? It'll be a simple math function. We'll just say cube. It will return the cube of an integer given to us, right? So just say n int. It will return an integer, right? And all it's going to do is return n times n times n. That's it. That's what it's going to do. All right. That's our function that's going to become an argument to another function. Just kind of silly, but that's what we're going to do. So now first set up what we're trying to do. In the main function, func main, no arguments, we're going to do this funny business. We're going to say a equals 10, a equals, if I could type, a equals 10, and we're going to send this to another function. All right, so b equals execute. This is going to be the function that we're going to write. Execute cube func, right? And it's going to take in a number, obviously. That's the minimum, right? And that's going to be a. And then it's going to take in, we're going to send that function this other function, cube. That's all we're going to do. And once you're done with it, we're going to print b, obviously, just to show that it worked. I mean, that's the structure. Now we're going to write the real function, right? So we're going to say print b, no problem. Now, this doesn't exist. We need to create that. That's the whole idea of a callback. This is the function that's going to have a callback. So func, this is the crux of this video. We're going to define this function. As we said before, it's going to take in a number that's it's going to use to cube it, and it's going to take in the cube function. So if before any of that, right, before you do any of this funny business about taking argument, a normal function looks like this. We're going to start with that, and then we're going to add in the part that's the point of the video. So it's going to take in an integer in the beginning, then we're going to change that, right? And it's going to return an integer. That's all good. And that's how the function should be without this callback business, right? Now, this is where we're going to do the callback part. So not only is it going to take an integer, it's going to take in a function. And just like any other argument that a function takes in, it's going to have a name. So we're going to give it a name of fn, just a function name, right? That function has to have the same signature as this because it has to match. So we're going to copy this and we're going to put in here that signature, right? And let's see, it doesn't like this int with this function int and int. All right. So we're going to return, so we're going to fix that later because I don't know what's wrong with that. We're going to say return, we're just going to return cube of the number that was passed to us, in this case, A, right? This is going to return. Now, why is this complaining? It takes in two arguments. One is the integer and the other is the function. That function takes in expected that found in syntax. Doesn't like the int. It's interesting why it doesn't like that function. So this matches that, so we don't have any problem with the syntax per se. This is going to return an int, that's fine. Doesn't like that function. That function takes in an int and returns an int. Interesting. Let's save it. Should run it. I don't think it's going to work, obviously, but syntax error, unexpected int, expected that. All right, so I don't think that's going to work, but let's do that. Now it's complaining about missing comma. That is interesting. Takes in an integer and takes in a function, and that particular function should take an int and return an int, and this other function returns an int. That should work. Okay, I'm gonna have to cheat here because I forgot the syntax. Okay, let's do that. Golang syntax callback function. Let's see what we get. Because I'm missing something. I'm messing up something. This is a very complicated one. Takes in. See, this is the function that's the callback. This is way too complicated. We'll never know. All right. See. Da 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 da. Okay. Function sphere. Okay, here you go. That's okay. So that's a little bit closer to home. We're going to call a function called sphere that takes in. See, this is the function here inside the function. Takes in. Well, function reduce no commas. That's interesting. When you called it, maybe I have too many commas. Da, 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 da. Surely that is not true. Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna have to look at chat. Let's see. This is not helping. Pardon my ignorance here. So I'm gonna go straight to ChatGPT, and I'm gonna look up simple Golang example. Okay. What am I doing wrong? That's the async one. That's not the one we want. This is more like it. Da 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 da. Callback. Here you go. Okay, let's write this. Give me a callback function example where in Golang where a cube function is used as an argument. Okay. As you can see, I'm not really good at this yet. Here you go. So process number Callback func oh, does it X parentheses maybe? What am I doing wrong here? What's the difference? We have the number integer and we have the name of the func. That's fine. Let's compare side by side. That's the name, that's the callback here. This is the fn here. It's just a name. Ah, I got an extra. Oh, I forgot to put the word func in it. That's what it is. Okay, so I forgot to put, there you go. That's better. Now, this is the name of the function we're giving it inside this function, right? Because every argument has to have a name, just like this A. This function that we're using also has a name inside, right? And because we're going to use it at some point, and so func da, 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 and int. Okay, so the reason I built it up for you guys is because if I just give you this, this doesn't make any sense. So if we build it up step by step, that makes more sense. Even so, I made a mistake in the syntax. Now this I think is wrong because callback return callback. No, that's right. Okay, cool. Let's save that. Oh, doesn't like it. Oh, I think all you do is in here. All you do is give a name. You don't need to send anything. Just name of the function. And that seems to be better, I think. Let's run the function. There you go. So return the cube of A in terms of B, right? So the whole idea here is the following, right? This function takes in a function as an argument which has the same signature as cube, and that's why we can actually send in the function cube when we call the execute cube function, just because this function has an argument that's a function. By definition is called the callback, and we're going to use callback for all kinds of other API sort of things, HTTP calls and async calls down the road. So I'm just building up our knowledge, our skill sets, so we can get there when we have real interview questions programming wise, that is DevOps type functions, DevOps type code written in Golang. I know the last bit was kind of boring, but I hope in the end it was useful, and I will see you in the next video.